In the previous video, we left off with this screen capture application where we were able to go ahead and run this and capture the screen. So if I were to run this, hit start, I have this screen capture application here. I can hit grab, and as you can see, it does capture the screen. And if I can expand this out, we notice one thing, that it also captures our application. Normally when you have a screen capture program, it doesn't capture the application itself. So there's a few things we have to change because this is not the image we expected. We actually wanted it to capture this here and not the application here. So there's a few things we can do to resolve this, but I think the easiest thing to do is to hide our form while we're capturing. But we also want to make our application more usable and more coder friendly in the future. So we're going to have to make a few other blocks to make this readable and reusable for later on. Right now, if you look at our code, we have all our code set inside of this btn grab. And this btn grab is a button. It's directly connected to the button. So when I go over here to the form, you'll see that there's this button here. And then when I go all the way over here, let me open this up, and I'm going to go to the events. And then you look up here, it says action click, and then it says btn grab underscore click. That means this btn grab underscore click is this btn grab underscore click, which is just a block of code. You know, it's just a procedure, a function, let's say, a function that returns nothing, and it takes in an object and an event. And that's how this button works. You don't have to go too deep into that, but just understand that that's what this definition means. So when the button is clicked, then it's going to go ahead and run all of this. So what if I had another button that I wanted click to run the same thing? That means I would have to attach it physically to this button, or give them all this same code button on a grab underscore click. The issue is that we want our code to be extremely readable, and we want it to be expansive, able to be expanded for other coders, for other applications. And right now, a button, a btn grab underscore click, doesn't describe what's happening here. This is just that whatever the name of that button is, it is the click behavior of that button. So what we want to do is what's called refactor this to where we can make it to where it's reusable, and we don't really have to repeat this code if we needed to use it again. Here is this code here, right here in this block here. So in essence, when I click on this button here, then this runs. However, what I want to be able to do is I want to create another block of code. And I want to call this block of code what this is. Okay, so this may just be called grab screen. Okay, and it doesn't really take an object, it just does something. It grabs the screen. Let me change that. So it just grabs the screen. Now that makes more sense. This function grabs the screen, or you can put screen capture. That's it. It's not a button, it just grabs the screen. Now what I would have to do then, because I still want the button to do some action when I click on that button, inside of the button, I just remove that. I remove all of this stuff, right? And then inside of this button, I simply take this name here and I put it inside the button. Now, when I click on this button, it goes here, it reads this, and then it runs this application here. So what does that mean? That means that I could literally have this here, this code here. I can literally have another button someplace else, and this is how you see in applications how you can have multiple ways of doing the same thing because they're all reacting to the same code. So let's say if I have this one here, and this is the same thing here. Let's give you guys this example here. Let me change this color here. So this one is not grab screen. This is a file grab screen. So with this file grab screen here is now connected to this procedure here, right? And as I move forward with this, you'll see that by adding this here, both of these procedures actually both go to the same code without me having to rewrite the code. All I need to do is call the code's name inside of each one of these blocks. So I can have as many buttons or whatever I want without ever repeating this code. And that's basically what we want to be able to do. Now to create that grab screen procedure, we're going to do it like we do with any other procedure. We're going to create a block like this, and we're going to say private void because it doesn't return anything. And we're going to call that something simple like grab a screen. And that's just going to be empty, and we're just going to go ahead and close that off like this. And now we have our procedure. Now all we want to be able to do is highlight this, cut that out of there, and paste it in here. And once you save that, you'll see that this file grab screen actually won't work until we take this name and we put it in here. So now when the button is clicked, it's going to call this name and it's going to run this block. So now our next task is to hide that image that we have up there, and we don't want that necessarily in grab screen. Grab screen does what grab screen does. Well, we don't want it in there now because we want to test some stuff out. So right up here, so I'm going to hide the app screen, and that's pretty straightforward. So one thing I want to explain to you is that this form here, which is this form, this is the code that we're in right now. So this form here is what we want to access, is what we want to hide. So a trick is inside of object-oriented coding, and in C#, it's called this. We want to refer to this form as this. So when I type this dot, what I'm saying is form1 dot hide. And how do I know that there's a hide? Because in the properties of this form here, so I'm going to select this form, I'm going to hit F1. Now what F1 is going to do is going to bring me to the documentation to the form. You can look through all of this right now. Don't be too overwhelmed by it, but understand that this is the source for a lot of your information as far as the properties or any updates or anything like that. So I see there's a little star up here. That means this is not saved. So I'm going to hit Control S to save it. And now I want to try this out. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that this works. I can remove this test that I have up here. So I don't need that up there. Control S to save that. And I'm going to play this. Start it. And then I'm going to hit grab. So we see an error that we have here. We hit grab. It did hide it, but we didn't make it come back. So let's go ahead and do that. We're gonna go down here and then we're gonna go this dot show. All right, so let's try that. So it did try to hide it, but the system grabbed it so fast on its way to being hidden, we caught a piece of it. As you can see, it's somewhat faded, right? So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to add some time between it hiding and then it showing. And there's a really interesting thing that we can do here. We can tap into what's called the threading or the timing of the application or the system itself. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to use something that's called threading. Now, not to get into too much technical concepts here, but understand threading as different railroads. Let's say if you had a train and then you needed another train to go to the same location, except you needed, this train is faster or this train needs to stop at another place. You don't want it going on the same track behind the first train. So you create another track. So that train can drive or ride on that track and stop and go and do whatever it needs to do without interrupting the first train that was on the initial track. So that's, in a way, how you can see threading. Two different tracks or multiple different tracks or 1,000 or 1,000,000 different tracks doing different things so as they don't interrupt the first initial track. And that's what threading is. So, well, it's an analogy of threading. So what I'm going to type is threading. Now, you're not gonna see any any help here, and it's not threading, it's thread. You're not gonna really see any help here. Normally, you know, the IntelliSense tries to help you. The reason why you're not gonna see any help here, because we don't actually have threading inside of our library that we can use. So we have to go up here and we have to put in using system.threading, and then we're going to go ahead and close that. And now you will see that we're able to use it. It turns green there. So we're going to say threading, and we want this to sleep. We want this thread to sleep for a few seconds. Actually, for 1 millisecond. And then we want it to show. All right, so let's go ahead and save that, and let's go ahead and hit start. Let's grab. So we're still grabbing it, so we may need a little bit longer. Let's try it again. So up here, we're hiding it. And okay, so let's look at this. It's not that we need more time, actually. It's the fact, look at our logic here. So we say we hide it, then we grab, then we try to sleep, then we show. But really what we need to do is go here and hide, then sleep, so that this has time to hide. Then we grab, and then we'll show. So let's see if that works. And there you have it. That worked out for us. So now we get the full. Now this button here is part of our application. That's not part of the image. That's part of our application. So we're able to achieve that through some logic and through some refactoring. We have something that we can use for later. Now what we want to be able to do with our screen capture application is be able to save this image. And that's what we're going to do in the next video. So hopefully this was helpful. Make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you leave any comments in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys next time.